some time to watch the legendary meme video that started the whole vibe thingy, vibe coded thingy. So if someone doesn't have
simulator.
Yeah, we don't have audio.
It runs fluid on 0 FPS.
That's what vibe coding is.
Are we caching the data? Oh, I'm caching in hard on it, yeah. What is the database? Web security. Where do I hire them? Test? We tested on TikTok, yeah. Google optimization. Who's Google? Just do it. Adidas.
I see there were some issues with the file modifications.
Do you want me to repeat the command? Fix it now or you go to jail? Right. This call consumed no credits. Stop chatting, just do the work. Still not working.
Let me see what might be wrong.
I mean, it's not GTA, but you know, it's getting there. Ah, it already has users. What does like the white dot mean in windsurf? Saved from what? Who's supposed to save it? Accept everything. One shot only. No planning allowed. No thinking allowed. Would you like any of these additional features? Why are you asking me so many questions? It's not a syntax error. It's a mood misalignment, bro. The SRC CLIENT, the logo, masterpiece, 4K, popular on ArtStation. This is production code, yeah. Producing loads of cash. Tactical then. I'm not technical. Agent has ended. I make, oh, I almost typed this command. Cursor. Make no mistakes. Don't hallucinate. Windsurf is so February the 2nd. Who's Devin? You are a senior game engine developer. Punished by the system. You went into several board meetings where no decisions were made. Fix it now or you go to jail, please. I don't know what the magic is that I have. Multiplayer will be around 2,000 to 4,000. 3 different types of nitrogen. Now the flight simulator is now in Kung Fu Panda. It's similar to the Matrix. You know, where the guys are fighting, is a balanced amount of XP. You can't have 210 items,
okay.
obviously, Claude.
Have enough
Only
of
the
this.
3rd mission, impossible to do. So there will be 134 different skateboard tricks.
Ti dam to.
Hvala lepa, da ste prišli. Dobrodošli na Python meetupu, na DragonPy meetup Ljubljana smo po novem, zadnjih 5 let. Danes imamo zanimive stvari. Bomo govorili o LLM-jih, testiranjih, malo bomo imeli security, pa jaz bom imel na koncu eno manjšo anketico, zato ker vas imam njih klele. Predvidoma ob 7:15 pridejo pice. Upam, da ne boste ful lačni, ker nismo budžeta predvideli za toliko ljudi. Tako da jaz bi kar začel, da začnemo tole poganjati, pa bomo pol na koncu še malo birokracije rekli. Okay. Se boš kar predstavil, pa kdo si, kaj delaš?
So I have to be loud. So, okay. Hey everyone, I'm Jan.
Eno sekundo, prešek. Anyone here doesn't speak Slovene, maybe? Pa da lahko slovenščini, če želiš. Ne.
So we're recording for our stuff, so anyway, yeah. I never imagined I would be doing a talk on a dev conference, much less with a title like that, but thanks to Nate for this amazing title, he just threw me under the bus. Obviously, I'll be talking about vibe coding, so I'll show you what I've been working on the past couple of weeks, and what tools I've been using, and I'll show you a few demos. Keeping in mind, all of this is from a perspective of a product owner, co-founder in a very small SaaS company, so obviously things might not completely translate to a large corporation. The tools that I've been using is primarily it's Lovable. So if you've heard it, it's an app that helps you build other apps and websites. And there's others like Bolt and Replit. And the idea is that it gets you from from idea to a prototype app in literally a few prompts and a few credits that obviously cost dollars. When it comes to Lovable, they use Supabase for backend. So I've learned about authentication, databases, emails, and storage in the past couple of weeks. Well, obviously I've known it before, but it just it gave me another perspective of how everything works. And their target market is clearly not the developers. It's anyone that does not have technical knowledge and wants to build an app or a website. To give you an idea of how popular Lovable is, it's a Swedish startup, and they've been founded in November 23, launched a year later, and they got to 100 million ARR in 8 months.
Nobody knows ARR is.
Annual recurring revenue, so a lot of money, in short. They have 10 million built projects on the platform, and they say that they have 100,000 projects being worked on every single day. One thing to note, compared to, for example, ChatGPT, these are not active users or someone just typing in. This is actually money spent. So people are really using this tool. Clearly, there's other tools as well. And yeah, they raised $200 million a couple of weeks ago, valued at 1.8, which is probably one of the fastest unicorns, at least in Europe, if not everywhere. And now, in practice, how does this look? So as I said, I'm kind of a product person. I've been helping build products for the past 20 years. I have some basic knowledge of HTML, but kind of that's where my code knowledge ends. I have been talking to developers for the past 20 years, so I have an idea of what I need to transfer to get a good product. Primarily, I've been using Lovable. I've also been using Cursor, and I've been using GitHub for code repository. So the things I've built in the past couple of weeks, I built my own tools, what you would call small scripts. I built them in less than an hour. Those usually, before that, I was just doing manual work. I built multiple landing pages in less than an hour. Previously, inside our company, that took developers and designers time. Clearly, there are products for this specifically, but inside of our company, we use this process. We built checklists and template tools for outside lead generation and help. And this would usually take at least a couple of days, if not a couple of weeks. And the one thing that you have to keep in mind, there's always, when you're building stuff like this, there's always a lot of lost time in communication. And here I just sat down and built everything in one go. So it's also that time that was saved. We also built multiple UIs, so demo user interfaces, in less than an hour each. And I would probably need at least a couple of hours in Balsamiq or something similar. And that would take, a couple of hours, and it would be a much worse result. I also built my first functional app in less than 20 hours total, and I'll show you that later. One thing to keep in mind as well is I have not touched on other automation tools like N8N or stuff like that. So this is really just specific to building apps and sites, not even workflows. So demo time. Okay, so this is the first app I built for myself. Probably as many of you, I do my personal finances, and the CSV you get from the bank is not the same as CSV you need for the software. So the first thing is I asked it to build a simple user interface, and then I gave it the input CSV and the expected output CSV. and it built everything immediately. It was 15 minutes to get my first demo. This was the first step, and it was just like, my mind was blown how easy that was. Yeah, it took like half an hour more to finalize some things, to do error handling and stuff like that. But in general, it was really, really fast. This is a real estate website I built over the weekend. It's very simple. Obviously, you can create this with WordPress or anything, but it's not going to look exactly how you want it. Very simple. Couple of hours. It has the scroller thing on images. Mobile responsive out of the box, and obviously translations. This was, I had some issues with some things, but in general it took like an afternoon over the weekend. The big one is this big app. Well, big. The app they actually created. It creates images for blog posts, and it takes your brand styling and your blog content, and it sends all of that to GPT, and then it returns an image. So this app has a sales page, clearly. You can register. You can log in, which we're going to do. So when you start off, you add the GPT API, and then let me delete this. Well, yeah, live demos. So the idea is that you add a brand. Let's say we have a demo. So we won't copy images. We'll just do a screenshot. I will select a primary color. I'm really proud of this feature. I really like how it works. Just need to try it. Okay, set a secondary. I can say this is a fun and modern brand. Once I have the brand, I go and start creating the image, select the brand. Let's say I already have an amazing blog post I want to share with you. Essay says disaster. And the first step is I've sent a prompt to GPT, and it's gonna ask, give me a few ideas based on the content that I've just posted, and we're gonna return to that once it finishes. So the next thing, okay, we can continue. Select an image, generate, now it actually went out and it generates the image with GPT API, and then we're gonna return. Next thing we built, training, so it's a sales page for training for one of our companies. It took the styling directly from the existing website, so it has the colors, it has the fonts and everything. I just gave it the brand styling guide that we have on our website. And it's a nice sales page. We obviously created the content first, and it has a nice checkout page. And this was 15 minutes, which was pretty mind-blowing when we tried it out. Let's see if we got the image back. Not yet. Another tool we built for this specific company, it's complicated, but again, we have the sales page, and it goes through a checklist of things that a company needs to do to go through an oversight. And there's just like it's conditional, so based on what you select here, it's going to show something else on step 5 or something like that. And you go to the end, and then you can print it out. Another tooling we did, that was like less than a couple of hours. Another tooling we did, again, just checklists. Enter. This could be done with forms, but people are not used to it, and we're just creating tools for them. Let's see the image. Okay, we got the image, and now we can just download it. I would expect an applause here, but fine. So two more. This is actually live prototype. Well, this is actually a live project. So with that company, we went out and we said, we have a really interesting technology right now. Would you like to build a tool that does something specific? So what's your biggest problem that you have and how would you solve it? And we went out, talked to them, got specifications, and built this in, again, this took us probably like half an hour, and then went back in a day, and well, at least 50% of them, so 1 out of 2 was really impressed with how fast we were. And it does actually everything you would expect. So it does not have a database, it's just plain HTML. So we have vendors, we have capabilities connected to these vendors. Everything's clickable. We have another one, similar company. Again, has the same thing. Makes it really, really easy to quickly prototype something, show them if this is it, and then you can give it either vibe code it to the end or give it to an actual developer to finish the thing, because everything is defined and makes it so much easier. The final one I'll show you is with what we used internally. So we have Pareto Security, which is our device monitoring product. And we had 2 wizards that we wanted to create. One was for user onboarding, and the other one was for device linking. And we had, our designer was on maternity leave, so we had no one to actually do the mock-ups and everything. So we used Lovable, and yeah, it's really simple. Goes through everything, and then once we were happy, with this, I just gave access to the GitHub repository to Nate, and then he coded it actually to the live website. So, how do I see this Lovable and things like this working in the next couple of months and years? So I see it perfect for clickable UI prototypes, just giving customers a preview of what they would see in, like, you could literally do it on the call. I think this makes everything so much easier. It's perfect for internal tuning, as you can imagine, probably read about security issues with vibe-coded apps. If you put it just behind a firewall, you don't need any security. Just lock it, and it's done. And for lots of companies, that might be more or less everything they need. And people are, of course, validating ideas as well with production apps. And I think the main thing here is to actually validate that there's a need for the product before you spend serious money investing into a developer. A few things I've learned. The first prompt should be as large as possible. Like, you literally want to define everything you can in the first prompt. You can also ask ChatGPT to help you with defining questions. So, are you missing something? Ask it if you're missing something, and then it gives you additional things to add. And then you use that in Lovable. The usual practice is to build the UI first. And what's really magical is if you have a really good prompt, in 9 out of 10 cases, it will build exactly what you imagined in your mind. It's really, really good. When you hit bugs, which you often do, sometimes it can fix them. Itself. Other times it gets into a cycle where you can go fix it, and it will never fix it. So if you have some developer knowledge that you know where potentially the bug might be, you can direct it there, and it will actually be a lot better at resolving that issue. Otherwise, it just might go into a loop. I've been using Cursor mostly for code editing, like manual code editing, what I want, either content or anything like that. and for simple fixes because Lovable does get expensive because anything you actually change, it will take a credit. And of course, I use GitHub, so Lovable pushes directly to GitHub, and then on Cursor, you pull to Cursor and then back, and then Lovable automatically refreshes inside. So I've been asking myself a few questions over the past few weeks because I have no doubt that this will and is already changing how software is built. And the main one is what happens to software companies and SaaS when anyone can build an app for their own specific needs and wishes in days. If you think about anyone who ever used WordPress, plugins, themes, and actually had problems with it, those people are now capable of building their own apps. For small companies like ours, simple niche SaaS was the playbook. So you find a small problem, you solve it, and you then charge a couple of 10, maybe a couple of €100 for it. Will that even work anymore? Like if you probably can't charge 300, 500 a month anymore if you can do the same thing in an afternoon and build it for yourself. Another thing is what happens when coding is not the bottleneck anymore, when everyone else is not waiting for developers to finish that, but coding is actually the fastest thing that's happening. Anyone that's been in web development, maybe even today, we've been in 20 years ago, they've probably heard, well, why would I give you €5,000 for a website if a student can build it for 500? We might get those questions now with custom software development. And what happens to proper development when it's only needed for the last 20% and only when the idea has actually been validated? I think that in the case of Lovable, and I've seen that because they obviously promote those cases a lot, is people are getting to 10 to 15,000 monthly recurring revenue completely without developers, just with Lovable and similar tools. Another thing we don't want to forget is most people will be completely fine with using shittily coded apps if it works and does what they expect it to do. I can tell you what are we doing because we're obviously in the same boat. We're moving away from online SaaS as much as we can. We expect there's going to be fewer customers who are going to be expected to pay less because why would I give you so much if I can, I'll build it on my own. Go into slower innovating industries. Like find something where it's been underserved by software. Maybe you can build something in there that will still give you margin for a couple of years. As I've shown before, we're seeing if we can sell some of these vibe-coded apps to other companies, see if we can build a SaaS from that. And we might jump into the bloodbath with our own AI something builder because I think this is just really, really exciting how the industry is evolving right now. That's it. I hope you enjoyed a quick overview of vibe coding. Any questions, discussions? I would love it.
So you're a product, right? And now you went from I'm product and I have days and weeks to think about between delivery to minutes, hours. How did that change your work? How do you keep up with your own thoughts? How do you make sure you don't overbuild yourself?
I mean, I've been so busy the last couple of weeks because we've been doing this. Like I think I've spent 400 credits on Lovable in the past month, which is like $200, $300. And we build just so much stuff. Like right now, we're in the phase of have an idea, let's build a new UI for it. We're going to figure out where we're going to go with bigger projects. But right now, it's just like we're trying things out. We're so excited we can build things so fast. I mean, mostly we're talking about me and another co-founder that are non-technical. And it's just so excited that we can actually build something without involving anyone else.
What happened to that designer that went to the maternity or paternity leave?
I told her she needs to learn all of what I just showed you.
Yeah, because one big risk with vibe coding is like security risks. But here with design, I mean, you cannot leave any like holes. But so I think designers might be even more easily replaceable, at least for prototyping.
They will definitely need to learn the tools. Yeah, I completely agree. Like I think in a way you could say that they'll be replaceable. In a way, they could also say they're perfect position to actually build on their expertise because they have they can talk to customers potentially, and they have the eye to design something. That adding with Lovable, adding another dimension of actually building it out might be a good position for them. As a standard designer in a company, I think what we're expecting is, when I ask you to build me a UI now, I will expect it in an hour back.
So perhaps they can actually explore more ideas right off the bat in a few hours and then fine-tune only on those that turn out to be promising.
Exactly, maybe give you 3 concepts, which one do you like best, and then go with that one, yeah.
Any more questions?
Thank you.
Hvala lepa.
So as Dan is busy building things every few minutes, I'm the one getting the bullshit code thrown into my lap and then trying to live with it. So this would be a story about how I try to survive in this new world of vibe coding. Right, so I'm going to be explaining this on an example of Pareto Security, which is one of our products. It's a privacy-conscious security monitoring app. So we have this nice cloud dashboard that shows you all the devices in the company, and then you have devices down there, right? And those devices need to be linked to the cloud. And we had this form where people from the company would come, and then they would type in their email, click join. They would get this nice little dialog, and they would say, open the app, and then the app would be linked, and everything would be peachy. If that would be true, I would be really happy, because it's not, because there's always some strange bugs popping up. It doesn't really work on Linux. Sometimes it works on Windows. On Mac, it sort of works. And there's no feedback to the user. If something goes wrong, like this form here is just what it is. Like this dialog goes away, and then you're not sure, was my device linked correctly or it wasn't? Like, what do I do next? There was nothing there. Surely we can do better. So Dan and I, a few months back, talked about how we can improve this, and like we would go through our standard process of basically us two building up some kind of mock-ups, maybe in Balsamiq, maybe just drawing on a whiteboard, and then we would ship it over to the designer who would do the design, and then we would ship it over to the front-end people, and they would do the coding, and then we would have this nice new process, right? And like the mock-ups itself, they're fast because we can just sit down and do them, but then like both Dan and I are absolute retards when it comes to design. We would need an external, like someone else to take care about design, and that takes weeks or days, depending on how much workload they have. And then because I personally suck at front end, I also don't want to write a lot of front end code. I'm going to wait for a developer to do the implementation. And then obviously, because you can never really envision all the edge cases in the mock-up stage, you have to go back. Because when you see the final implementation, like, yeah, that's not right, we're missing that. You go back to the mockups, back to design, and then do this loop, and then the obvious next step is just to procrastinate on it for a couple of months, because like, yeah, this is going to take too long, so I don't want to do it. I'm gonna write some backend code so I can get some immediate dopamine hit because I've done something, right? And then Dan said, what if we vibed it? And yeah, he already showed you this. So this is the wizard we envisioned in a few hours one afternoon. Yeah, Yeah, and as you can see, first you have, like, the linking is divided into 3 steps. Before it was just 1 step. First you need to install the app, then you need to do the authentication with the email, blah, 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 and then you have some visual feedback that something went right, that your device is linked and everything is dandy, right? So that was the design part solved in 2 to 3 hours. Next step was front-end implementation. Like I said, I'm not really good with front-end. I know just enough to be dangerous, to muck things up. But with Claude, or as we like to call it in our company, Claudio, I basically gave him these instructions and just this. So I told him, or him, it, I don't know. I told Claude where to find, like in which file this invite page lives. And I want it to look like this, pointed to the Lovable app, and I also did a local checkout of the Lovable app, so I could give it the source. And that was basically it. Like it worked brilliantly. Obviously, there was a few bugs, but like in the same afternoon, I had it implemented in Elm, which would otherwise take me a few days because I'm rusty in Elm. I don't code it a lot, so I have to. Whenever I do it, I have to memorize the syntax or relearn the syntax. And it's almost felt a bit too fast. Like, you know, we had it sort of working in an afternoon. But obviously, it was not really working. There were a lot of small bugs and inconsistencies. The numbers on top would sometimes be clickable, sometimes not. And then the error messaging was kind of quirky. And basically, after about an hour or 2 of just manually clicking through the entire wizard for the 37th time, I was like, yeah, I don't want to do this anymore, like manual clicking. Let's automate this, right? And I was thinking how we're going to test this, because we have one code base, which is this pyramid Python app that has the API for the cloud. And then we have an Elm front-end app talking to it, and then we have all these agents talking to the API again. And they're not in the same repository, and you know, we could mock some of the responses, but then are you really testing if the thing works? So decided to try a different approach and go with Playwright. Playwright is basically browser automation. You control your browser to do things. And it's really amazing for writing tests. So this is how an example test would look like in Playwright. So here you would say, go to this page, and then you would expect this page to have a title that includes Playwright. And that's it. Like this is it basically. And then when you run this, it runs really fast. A couple of seconds, 2 seconds, it ran that, and you get this. Because I said I want it with video. It then created video for the test cases. We're going to look at the video for this test case, which is, again, it goes to this website and then clicks get started link, and then asserts that there's a heading called installation visible. So this would then be, that's the video that it recorded, right? You see it again? Opened up, clicked, boom. So installations here, test passed. Playwright really is amazing for testing any website. We're going to come back to Playwright a bit later. The problem is that Playwright is end-to-end testing for modern web apps. So our Pareto Cloud dashboard is a web app, but there's also those agents which are not web apps. How am I gonna test these guys down here talking to the web app? And the obvious question, obvious answer, obviously, for a Nix person is NixOS integration tests. So NixOS is a Linux distribution built on Nix, which is a repeatable package and configuration manager. Let's leave it at that. And it comes with a very interesting test driver. Right. So what this does is basically you build virtual machines and give them some virtual networks. And all of these are QEMU virtual machines. So QEMU is a virtualization framework for runs on Linux and Mac and whatnot. And the benefit is these QEMU images are really lightweight Linux VMs. And then what you do, then you write Python code. So here you define like a couple of machines that you want to have in your test, and then you have Python code that you run against those machines. So here, for example, you start the networking, and then you ping one machine from the other. And what the driver gives you is you can actually, so machine 2 would be a network host that is defined already by this virtual network, and you can just play around with it. Let's see a concrete example. So this is, on GitHub you have tons of these tests available. And this is a test for BitTorrent, right? And what this test does is it first starts up the tracker and uploads a file to it. And then it goes to the client 1, opens up transmission, the BitTorrent client, and then downloads this file, verifies the hashes, blah, blah, blah. And then it shuts down the tracker and starts up client 2. And because this is BitTorrent, client 2 should be able to download the file from client 1, right? Because it's peer-to-peer. And also there's a router in here, which also then tests that this transmission is able to tell this firewall to open up a port so this guy can connect to it and download the file. So this is like, it's maybe like a couple hundred lines of code that tests the entire functionality of a BitTorrent network. UI testing is possible too. There are tests for games because you can control the mouse, the keyboard. There's OCR available, so there's tests for browsers. It's amazing. You can really test basically anything that you want. So, to the real-world example of how we're testing the linking of Pareto desktop apps to Pareto Cloud. This is how the network communication for the linking looks. I count 6 requests before we get to linking successful message down here. So if we will be mocking this, we'd have to mock them on the agent, in the Pyramid API, and on Elm. So it's 20-ish different mocks to just test things. And then if you change something, you need to remember to update the mocks. Otherwise, your tests are saying that everything's fine, but actually things are not working. With this, you have an end-to-end test. So if something's broken, you're going to catch it. So instead of mocking, what if this was easy? So we're going to create 2 test nodes with NixOS. So 2 NixOS test nodes. One we're going to call an agent. So this would be the one running the desktop app. We're going to install the desktop app. This is how you install it in NixOS. We're going to have one user, and we're also going to install a playwright on this machine, because then we're going to use the browser to go through the wizard. And then the second node would be the cloud. This would be the one running the Pyramid application for the cloud dashboard. Again, here we want this node to accept connections on port 80, because we're doing HTTP. We need a database. We need our Pyramid application. And then we have one systemd service that actually runs the Pyramid. So just basic config, right? There's nothing fancy here. It's networking, it's PostgreSQL, and it's systemd. It's just basic Linux. And then we have this in the Python test script of the test. So we start up the cloud VM. We make sure that port 80 is open, and then we connect. And then we do a CRL from the agent to the cloud, so to here, with some wrong credentials, just to make sure that we get a 401 back and not like network unreachable. So this confirms that the networking between the test nodes works. And then on the agent, we run Pareto Security -. version, which is so the desktop, the CLI version of the desktop app, just to make sure that this doesn't fail, so that the app is installed. And then we run this thingy. And what this thingy is, these are playwright tests. So so this starts a browser in the agent and then connects to the cloud and does the linking. And this is how the code looks like. It goes to this HTTP/cloud, which would be our cloud test image, to the correct URL, and does some clicking around. We're on Linux. We go to the next step. We enter the email, blah, blah, blah. And then here it takes the the token, so the token that you need to authenticate the agent to the cloud, saves it, and then it asserts that there's text waiting for device. This is when the wizard is basically spinning and waiting for you to actually do the linking on the device. And at this process, at this stage, we then run the CLI command to do the linking. All of this is that, and then at the end, we just assert device linking successful. And that's it. Like, this is it. This is how you test the entire process. And when you later do some vibe coding and the AI changes some string, you catch it. So we want the successful string to be device linking successful, and AI decided to write it as device identified successfully. You would actually catch it in your tests without having to manually going through the whole thing, through the whole wizard every time. And also, you get this nice little test artifacts. We're using GitHub Actions, so if you there's a GitHub Actions called GitHub Actions action called upload artifacts, and it will upload stuff that you tell it. And these are results from the test driver. So the first one is the video. The second one is the trace, which is even better than a video, because you drop the trace into trace.playwright.dev, which is what we're going to do now. But I need to figure out how I take this here. OK. So for every test, you get this trace file. And this is basically a video of everything that goes on during the test, but more. Because you get the entire, like, this is actual HTML. You can inspect it. You can see exactly what's going on. You can see the errors in the console. You can see all the network requests. And you can go to the exact moment where the test failed. So here. And so that, what's there? Here, right. Expect failed. So like having this trace is really amazing, because like, these tests are going to fail. And then you often just wonder what happened. But you have this trace file, drop it in here, and then you can see exactly what's going on. OK. Cool. I would also like to point you to the fact that the test only takes 2 minutes to run on GitHub Actions. Even less. It's like the actual test is 62 seconds. You can imagine Nix sort of like being Docker, but everything you install is automatically its own layer. So everything you do with Nix.js goes into a lot of layers, and all of those layers are cached. So then when you just change one thing, it doesn't have to rebuild it doesn't have to actually rebuild the test images. It just rebuilds small parts of it and then assembles the test images together. So it's super fast. So yeah, I invite you to learn end-to-end testing and keep your job. Maybe.
So if that's on the GitHub Actions, but it's super fast, where is the machine really? What kind of machine? How big is it? Is it actually running a VM of a different architecture?
So this can run on GitHub Actions on normal machines. We specifically use namespace.so because namespace.so has a bit better support for Nix caching. So the caching layer is better. But otherwise, it wouldn't be significantly faster. The only thing you need is KVM.
But then where is the caching? Is it on a disk on that machine or on somewhere
So the way
else?
Namespace works is they attach a disk to the test runner.
Right.
And if you're using Nix, so basically /Nix/store you attach as an external disk to the runner, so you don't have to download it on the test runner.
And how do you find the speed of KVM with other architectures, Darwin, Mac, or Windows?
I didn't test it. Yeah. Like for this use case, I don't see why I would test other infrastructures. Yeah.
Cool. Right.
Yeah, if we don't know Nix OS that much, can we wipe code the tests, or is it not good enough?
Yeah. So the hard part about Nix is that it's declarative, so that you don't run commands such as add a user or add a database. You have to describe everything in a config file, in a Nix config file, and that's hard. But that also makes it much better for AI, because everything that you're doing is described in code. So yeah, like I've been using Nix for many years, but I still cannot write syntax. I can't, because I don't do it every day. So I know sort of what I want, and then with Claude and similar tools, I get all the way to the end. Yeah. To je to. A ni brodul.
Ja, brodul, sam mojo infrastrukturo uporabljam.
There we go.
Pa boš tudi...
Lahko ga daš mirror, kogar češ.
F11, koliko je?
F11. Zdaj smo še S pritisnil. Imel mirror. Ja. Hey everyone, how are you? Yeah! So from me, no AI, but I must confess that my homepage is now designed by AI. Took me 2 hours. So we will have introductory / to intermediate talk, super short. The title, of course, is misleading to grab your attention. So what we will look at is basically how many of you do use AWS? Okay, maybe some GPs, Google Cloud Platform users, some as well. Awesome. So it will be applicable to you. For others, don't worry, sooner or later you will have to use it. Okay, you can see the picture here, but what usually happens is like you're starting a startup, right? There's one developer, maybe there's your friend, you're 2 developers, and you say, okay, we will build a Python app, maybe with Pyramid, maybe with Django. And at one point, you might need things like storing some images, which means that you might utilize an S3 compatible API, S3 for example, so you can store an image or something. And what do, right? You install Django, you install usually Boto 3 if it's AWS. And then you create a user in the dashboard and you say, okay, I will create access key ID and I will create a secret access key ID, right? And then you get this. It's a bit blurry. If you click here, it will show you the secret access key. And then you have 2 secrets which you probably don't want to lose, especially in the AI era where every major platform has an AI service, and somebody can really empty your, or not even empty your credit card, but just yeah, don't lose the API keys to your cloud, right? So you need to deal with something that is secretive. And yeah, then you also need to decide how you will pass that in. Maybe you will use, I don't know, OS get env, or maybe you will inject it just as an environment variable and Boto will read it up. And then you can list the buckets. But there's another option that is much more sensible, and that is you go to EAM, so Cloud Compute also has EAM, you create a row, You name that row, maybe, I don't know, if it's a simple app, you can name it just the, I don't know, application, your app name. If it's a microservice architecture, maybe you want to have a row per microservice. You you attach the policies for the permission that that app will need. In this case, it's I am read-only access. It could be like, I don't know, S3 read or whatever. You save that row. And then what you can do, in this example, there is an instance called my first instance. And if you click edit, you can assign one row to EC2. You can also assign rows to ECS, or there are ways how to assign rows to pods if you use Kubernetes or something else. So usually wherever there is compute in AWS or GCP, you can assign a row. In GCP, you basically assign something called service accounts. It's a very simple, similar design. The concept is the same. And when you do that, what happens? You attach the role to the EC2 instance in this example, and what will happen is the AWS provides you that instance, and what they do is they will basically smuggle like a love letter onto your operating system that has a token that is rotated very frequently, and in the background, Boto takes that token, goes to a meta server, says, hey, I'm running on AWS. I have this token. I want to assume that role that I was given. And then basically the meta service checks with the scheduler, okay, is this token really correct? And gives you another token, an STS credential token. And with that token, then Boto3 can go to, I don't know, S3 API and access file. Yeah, it's complex, but actually what it means, it doesn't mean very much. You don't need to worry, because what implicitly happens is when you initialize the client, Boto will do the following. First, it will check for the standard environment variables. If those exist, it will take those secret key or access key. Then it will check for a file, AWS credential, and the third one is the hour. It will basically try to contact EC2 instance metadata, and then there's others if you're running in Kubernetes or Elastic Container Service. There are basically, it just loops through it. So best practices, never hard code credential when using EC2 roles. I would recommend you do that even when you start a new project, because we all know how it goes. Your revenue starts to spike up, you get 100 developers, and then I still see that user that was created 6 years ago, and we are then, I don't know, 1 billion, millions, thousands of millions dollar company. What happens here is basically credentials, if you want to name it that way, are rotated like, I don't know, the STS token has it's valid, I think, for 1 hour. You should use the least privileged AM policies, so don't give the role, I don't know, admin access, just give it what the application needs. You can also monitor the usage of that role via CloudTrail. You can also do honeypots if you want to. And the good thing is, when you fire all your developers because of AI, you don't need to replace that secret ID string. So that's the end. Any questions? Jaz pa drugo polovico sebe.
No question, this talk was perfect. No notes. To je pa naslov mojega talka na DevOps. Hvala lepa, Brodul. Meta, prideš gor. Meta ima še en lightning talk.
Something completely different and more cool and definitely not AI.
Moš to za... klikni,
Kaj?
tako da bo vam padlo.
Ne, v redu je. Ne bo.
Ne bo?
Ne bo. V redu je. It's fine. Okay. So, I'm gonna do a quick book review, or should I say course review. Learn Python the Hard Way by Zeddy Shah. When I first started learning how to code Python, this was then a book, now a course that was recommended to me, and I found it very good. So this book, sorry, I don't know. I'm so sorry. It's a bit. Okay. Now I got. I'm sorry. Glitch. Okay. No, it does not work. Not everything. So the main goal of this book is that you actually rewrite the code that's written in the book. You start from the basics, from how to use a terminal, till the end when you build an app. And it's super cool because the author is very, very systematic, and you basically progress with the book. You learn how to do tests. You learn how to review other people's code. You come to a point where you say, what is it? What is this code? What are you talking about? Why is this variable here and used there? And it actually explains everything. And the course now has videos that actually explain stuff, and it's really a really good way to learn. So what I said, what we learn, it's very structured. You have a chance to review. You can detect typos. I think it's super, super great. So if you know anybody who's learning or who wants to learn that way, or just like a fresh course for somebody, please. It costs $30, and I think it's money well spent. So, thanks. Yes.
Kakšno vprašanje za Meto?
No, good.
Načeloma ne rabim. Jaz pa, ko vas imam tukaj vse na kupu, bi vas pa prosil za malo pozornosti. In imam dve vprašanji za vas. Uporabljali bomo en Slido app za odgovore nabirati. Odgovor ni pravilen, odgovor ni napačen, ne morete zajebati. Imam samo dve vprašanji, tako da bomo hitri. Pa bi mogoče začel s prvim. Vsi smo že slišali za steep learning curve. Ja? Smo slišali za steep learning curve, ful nekaj ljudi kima, okay. A ne, si predstavljamo, imamo ne vem, dve osi, pa neko krivuljo, a ne? In si predstavljamo, kaj je na vseh. Kaj je na y osi. Ne povedati, jaz bi vas zdaj prosil, da samo na y osi.
Matematični ali ekonomski? Ne mislim za mene.
Se pravim, kar vi mislite, kam moram gledati mirror. Se upravičujem, to ni Mac, pa pač ne delajo stvari. Jaz bom pa takole vas prosil. Zdaj, evo, jaz sem tukaj dal tole, pa greste lahko s telefoni na slido. Saj bo takoj. Lahko poskanirate QR kodo ali pa greste na slido.com, pa se bo tisto kodo vtipkate not, pa napišete, kaj je na y osi, katera spremenljivka, kaj mislite, da je, ne tako, kaj mislite, da je prav, ampak kaj vi, ko vam nekdo reče steep learning curve, kaj si vi predstavljate, da je na y osi? Okay. Okay. Cool. Cool. A je tole ta dolg odgovor, a je to LLM napisal?
Ne, to sem jaz.
Okay.
Ampak sem samo da.
Samo LM si torej. Okay. Ful zanimive stvari.
Now it's the real.
Cool. Cool. Sem mislil, da bo do 42 napisal, no, pa nimamo fanov Štoparca, kle očitno. Ok, cool. Jure, to ti? Ta Klod, ne? Okay. Ok, cool. Ok, to je ena zadeva. Druga zadeva pa zdaj, ne vem, nisem uspel natuhtati, a je občutljivo ali ne, tako da bi mogoče se skupaj odločili. A ste že slišali za golden handcuffs ali pa zlata kletka? Se pravi, sovražaš šiht, namaraš šetke, komi ostaneš, sovražaš sodelavce, sovražaš šefa, biti se hočeš. Povedi pivno možda, ker plača pizda ful dobra. Koliko je ta plača? Okay. Jaz bom klele, no, zdaj pa fora je, da jaz klele lahko kliknem play, pa lahko tudi rečem, da mi ne kaže rezultate. Tako da, če se kdo čudi, da bi bilo to preveč senzitivno, lahko izklopimo, pa boste videli samo svoje odgovore, pa jaz od zadaj, pa obljubam, da ne bom to nikomor... Je pa anonimno vse, a ne? Ali hočemo videti? Ja, to hvala lepa. To nisem mu znal razvozlati, kako bi vprašal. Zdaj, če se spomnite, na sloju developerjih je včasih enkrat na let anketa glede teh plač, pa je ločeno mezni delavci pa SP, a ne? Jaz, kar sem razmišljal o tem, je pač čisto človeško, koliko se človek počuti, da rab dobiti na račun, da je okej. Tako da dajmo probati mogoče neto oziroma po davkih, če si SP ali pa DEO ali pa neki.
Disposable income.
Ne, to je...
Recimo tako mer, koliko rabaš, da zaživiš. To je pač neto, kar imaš v žepu, da lahko.
Tako, ampak pred stroški za stanovanje pa tako. Ok, cool. Sorry? Na mesec, recimo full time.
As the HR says, like, we don't care how much you work. You do that.
20 jurjev pa otrok. Okay. Sej predpostavljamo, da na mesec, pa če kdo zraven kaj dopiše, je pa logično, ne. Okay. Upam, da noben ni plačan v zlotih, tako da. Okay. To so zelo pametni odgovori, kar se mene tiče. Jaz bi tudi kaj tazga dal drugače. Okay. Se mi zdi, da se počasi ustavlja, se pravi, kdor je želel izpolniti, je izpolnil. Hvala za tole. Ne bo to nikjer uporabljeno tako, da bi koga probal doksati ali kaj. HR ne bo zvedel za to, ker mogoče bo ugotovili, da vas premalo plačujejo. Distribucijo bom naredil, ja, ampak pa LinkedIn post, zvezdica na LinkedInu. To da je danes, če češ šiht, rabaš na LinkedInu napisati, kako je vse super. Ok, imamo še kaj tamle, se mi zdi, ok. Mislim, da je bilo to. Se kaj pozabil?
Ja, eno stvar še. Kdo išče šiht?
To je naslednji korak, sem mislil, da je še kaj glede predan. Ok, cool. To je to, hvala lepa, da ste prišli. Preden pa zaključimo, imamo pa še dve vprašanji, pa tamle imamo še računalniški muzej, ki bi eno besedo povedal. Tako da te dogodki se zgodijo na pol sami od sebe, ampak rabimo pa predavatelje, pa rabimo kakšen denar kdaj. Tako da, če ima kdo idejo, če ima kdo kakšne preference, da bi sponzoriral, dajte me kar kontaktirati pol med minglanjem, po možnosti, ko boste že par piv spili.
A OnlyFans imaš?
Žal nimam. Vem, da je to šokantno, ampak nimam group account. Znesek je pa tako, ne vem, 400, 500, 600 evrov na dogodek, odvisno koliko ljudi se pričakuje. Ok, še ena stvar. A kdo išče developerjev tukaj v tej skupini? Ok, to je ful razlika od 2016, takrat je bilo tako 5 rok gor. A je pol smiselno, da vprašamo, če kdo išče šiht? Ok, a je kdo na trgu pa išče šiht? Ok, sam jaz očitno v tej državi. Tamle zadnji še eden, ok. Cool. To je bilo to, kar je bilo z naše strani.
Vsi se stolčkov držijo.
Ja, dole se sam ne burkaj morja, Roma, sam tih bod. Se pravi, tamle je par prigiskov, da nas bo še par minut zdržal. Nekaj piva je v hladilniku, sokci, pice pridajo čez par minut.